Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome to another episode of Squirrely Business. These are conversations that are all about the real stuff behind building something from scratch. I'm your host, Brian Button, and today I'm joined by Danielle Bornowski. She is the founder and CEO of DQB Strategies. I met Danielle through the StoryBrand community, and I found her to be so magnetic and confident and just an all-around fantastic human being. And I think you're going to come to the same conclusion after hearing our chat. So without further ado, let's get into it. Hi, Danielle. How are you?
I'm great, Brian. How are you today?
I'm fantastic, especially now that you're here. I get to talk with you and pick your brain about a bunch of stuff. So I'm very excited. So thanks for being here.
Yeah, I'm thrilled. I love having these kinds of conversations, and there's just so much magic and energy that happens, and we all need that in our lives.
Yeah. I love being around positivity and I love the opportunity to share it when I can. So I think this is very much in that vein. So I'd love to know about Danielle in Danielle's own words.
Ooh. So I am eh, well, Brian, why is this a hard question?
Supposed to be the icebreaker. Danielle, in a few sentences, tell me
Yes.
about yourself.
Yeah. So I am someone who loves to be around energy. I love to pick up energy. I love to be outside. And that's something that I've learned I need in my personal life and my business. So I am a wife, a mom, a child of God. I'm actively pursuing my faith. I have 29 chickens and two dogs and two gerbils and four fish and two snails and all the things.
Question about the snails. Are
Yes.
these domesticated snails?
They're fish tank snails. I don't even know.
Wow. Okay, so they're
Yeah.
they're in captivity. Okay, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was really the only question I had. Thank you for joining the podcast. Have a
Usually
great
people
day.
have questions about the 29 chickens, but I love that the two snails. Maybe there's some content coming from this.
Yeah, the chickens track. That's no question. So like, why only 29? I guess is the question I have. Um, how for you? How did it start? Like, what pulled you into this type of work?
So I grew up, my dad worked, he was a minister, and he also did part of his ministry work in nonprofit youth development organizations. And so that's where I grew up, was serving, and being able to share God's love and just our strengths and skills and learning from other people. And so when I went to college, well, I'll be honest, I had like a tiny little phase. Okay, like this Sex in the City had been really big. And when I went to college, I said I wanted to, my first semester, I wanted to study advertising because I wanted to be like the girls on Sex in the City. Okay. Yeah, no thanks, was not my jam. So I switched to public relations, and that was where I, pursued most of my education. And I knew that I wanted to go into nonprofit, but there wasn't nonprofit study at that time, right? There weren't certificates in nonprofit management or anything like that. And so I would do the lecture at school, and then I would go to office hours with my professors and be like, love this. And how do you do it if you don't have any money? Like nonprofits notoriously don't have money. So how am I going to do this in the real world? And they were all fantastic professors and really helped me kind of figure out what that looked like. So I graduated and went into the nonprofit space. And I did that for probably 10 years, maybe a little more. And I loved it. I loved having a mission center. And I was at an organization, I was the communications director, and they were undergoing a strategic plan. And the communications arm of the strategic plan was not something that I loved. I can't even remember what it was, but I was like, oh, I don't want to be part of that. I don't want to do that. It's not my favorite thing. And what I had found when I was working there was there were tons of volunteers that I was guiding through events and what does marketing look like and fundraising appeals. And I really loved being able to teach these women why we were making decisions and, kind of coach them along the way. And I was like, wouldn't it be cool if I could just help more people do that? So I don't even actually know if it really was like a wouldn't it be cool kind of a thought. I just thought I was always going to be a nonprofit until I was sitting in church one day and I looked over at my husband and I was like, I'm going to quit my job tomorrow. And he was like, okay. And so I put in my notice and it was the beginning of the summer, it was day one of like, okay, what's happening here? Like I mean, we had kind of looked at our finances and had kind of the summer as a runway to figure out what this was. I was like, I'm going to freelance. I don't know, marketing, freelancing, that's a thing. So I went to a networking event with a friend and, met a couple of people, and then I got a client and then a client and another client. And by the end of the summer, I was like, I think we have a business here. And so it was just this step out in faith, um, and it's been really interesting. The business has certainly evolved. That was 6 years ago. It's evolved along the way, and it's been really cool to see how God has opened doors and I don't want to say closed doors, but moved them, turned the hallway a little bit, and gotten us to the place that we are now, which is just really amazing.
Yeah. Wow, I love that. Um, One more kind of intro question, and then we'll get into it. What did you think this journey would look like, and then how has it surprised you?
I don't even know that knew what to think that the journey looked like. I really had no intentions of being an entrepreneur. And I will say it's been within the last maybe 2 years that I have willingly accepted the title of entrepreneur. I mean, I had a lot of limiting beliefs. I had a lot of money baggage, that I've had to work through. I think that, I had a perception, right, of this of what success looked like, where you look polished and great all the time and you're super happy and your bank account is really, really stacked and your kids act the way they're supposed to all the time. I don't know. I think that there's what you see, right, on Pinterest and Instagram. And I guess that was sort of what I thought. What it really has been like, what it almost kind of feels like public growing for me to say, oh, my business is this thing. And then the next day or another time I'm turning and it's changing directions. There's a lot of personal stuff that comes with that, being willing to say, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm doing this. And what are people going to think? And, what if they think that I failed? Or what if this is the wrong decision? And so that's what it's been, really has been learning and growth and challenge and getting to the point that I feel like I am now, where that's actually cool and exciting, and I love that I can appreciate it. Like, I was thinking about this morning. Today was my boy's first day of school, and I was thinking about how much we've been hyping it up and celebrating. Like, I had these flashing signs in the kitchen. They had walkout music this morning. Partly it was just to get them out of bed. Like, I was like, how can I get you out of bed without being a total grump, right? Like, it's early and all this stuff. And they wanted playlists on in the kitchen. I'm like, you got it. And so I think in school, we have these milestones, right? And we as parents and as educators around them, we get them excited, right? I think business is the same way. I think the milestones are just, they're not as concrete and set in stone. If you look back and you go, oh, yeah, I did this and this and this. And then, of course, the natural next step was, this. I was just thinking about it this morning. I love that I've gotten to a place in my business where I can celebrate. Like, if I'm in a messy middle or uncomfortable or like, oof, like things are squishy right now, I really try to say that means that I'm growing and I'm graduating to the next grade. And that's actually really cool. And I want to hype it up and celebrate it.
Wow. Gosh, I love that. I love the analogy of school because it's for the most part universal, right? It's their structure, it's almost predictable, but also like as older folks, we've gone through it. So we can look back and say, I know I've been there. But business is kind of the same way, but there's not a universal structure to it because everyone's approach, strategy, outreach. I mean, just take 2 minutes on LinkedIn and just see how many different approaches there are. So much so that I get spun out because if you could do anything, I end up doing nothing versus
Oh,
like,
yeah,
here's the way. And, the whole idea
totally
of like
agree.
niching down. And it's so funny because I encourage all of my clients, like, you have to make a decision, in my saying, and I'm sorry for anyone who's heard this 900 times from me before, but if you try to be everything to everyone, you're going to end up being nothing to nobody.
We're always leveling up. And it looks a little bit different and it's hard along the way. I don't know that anybody can say they haven't had one hard school year in different ways. And I think that's the extension of the analogy too, that different parts of it are hard for different people. And I think that's part of what makes business so challenging, is that you're surrounded by people who are often well-meaning. We don't try to compare ourselves, right? We know that comparison is the thief of joy, but at the same time, you need some inspiration. So it's like, how do you juggle inspiration versus comparison? And to your point, everybody's doing it differently. So how do you like take what serves you, leave the rest, practice self-care, make sure you're drinking enough water, do the things, be bold. It's hard. It is squirrely. It is hard.
Oh, plug in the name of the show with zero effort. Oh, thank you. That's amazing.
I mean, if you think about it, like it really has to be a wholesome approach. I was at a conference last week and he was talking about um simple routines, right? Like one small thing that sets the catalyst for your day. So what I know about myself is I have to do a morning stretch every morning, and that sets the stage for my whole day. When I do that, then it's almost like I'm more motivated to make sure that I'm eating nourishing foods and drinking water throughout the day and, skipping an extra cup of coffee. It's like that one tiny thing that can make such a trickle and ripple effect. And those are all of the things I think too that until you get in the messy, sometimes nobody talks about. Like, there's no business 101 that is like, okay, 8 hours of sleep, 100 ounces of, well, I think 100 is like not the new number, but whatever it is, water, these basic things, stand up, sit down, move around, go take a chicken break, like all of these things that contribute to the success of the business. People don't talk about that. And it's really, really foundationally critical and important. And most of us don't learn it until we've like screwed it up and have to go fix it.
Yeah, there are the folks who are known for being successful in business, like Donald Miller, right? He's got an approach and a template, but Hosey has got an entirely different approach. And he's all about grind, 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 get up and grind. It's just so interesting to think about the folks who have succeeded and they document their template or blueprint. And it really is just about finding the thing that works for you. And then having that little thing, like your morning stretch gives you permission, but also probably reminds you of all the things that need to fall into place after that. Because if you skip that stretch, imagine your whole day is a little bit turned up upside
Yeah.
down because you're like, well, I didn't do that one thing that starts all the other things. So like, how do I start with the third thing now? And then it just probably it kind of dysregulates your entire day.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. Yeah, I'm less likely to then go do a morning workout. I'm less likely to use my stand-up desk and adjust during the day. So I'm standing up some, sitting some, which I know makes me feel better. And again, if I don't do those things, then I get up at the end of the day after sitting at my desk all day long and I make noises that make me sound like I'm about 87 and like I gimp halfway across the house because my hip hurts because I sat still so long.
Yeah, you look great. You're doing great for 87, Dave.
So it's that one tiny thing. It doesn't seem like a big deal, but it actually really is.
I would love to know, Danielle, do you have a routine? Do you have kind of a process, whether it's the beginning of the day, the end of the day, throughout the day? I'd love to know kind of what your process is as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Well, let me preface a little bit by saying that it ebbs and it flows. And I think that there's hopefully somebody listening who needs permission to let it ebb and flow, right? So we can get I've had this challenge before. Yes, I've had this challenge before of like, I do these huge pendulum swings, right? Like I tried this and it didn't work. So I'm going the complete opposite instead of like a quarter turn and adjusting a little bit. And so I found myself at the beginning. So today's the first day of school. So we started a new routine today. Um, I found myself at the beginning of the summer setting a new morning routine and intention because I looked back on last summer and I felt grumpy and resentful all summer long. And what I realized was my husband is not a morning person. He doesn't want to get up in the morning. And so last summer, I'm like, I want to start my day. I want to be sitting at my desk by 8:30 or 9 to start what I need to do. And this is a marriage thing. People don't talk about like marriage and business a lot also, right? I don't think I communicated to him and said, I really need some more structure. Like it doesn't have to be 6:30 that we wake the kids up like we do during the school day, but I need something. And so, like I said, it left me like grumpy and resentful all summer. Like I was just like couldn't wait for the kids to go back to school because I needed my morning routine and wasn't able to communicate that and make that happen. So this summer I was like, I don't want to feel that way. I don't want to be grumpy like that. Like I can change this circumstance. And so I created my ideal schedule. And what that was getting up at 5:30. And so I'll be honest, sometimes I push snooze until 5:45, but like a perfect day is getting up at 5:30, 5:45, and I have quiet time. I love quiet and
Mm.
still. And so I do my stretch. If it's a workout day, I'll do a workout or go for a run. I come into my office. I have a blue chair, a real comfy chair, and I do my devotion and read my Bible and set the tone for my day. Um, and then I get up and finish making the boys' lunches, and get them up and get them out the door by 7:30. And it was an amazing summer because I changed how I was thinking about things. I set the schedule. I talked to my husband. I said, "This is what I need." And he was like, "Okay, cool." And there are days when he gets up earlier and helps me get the kids out the door. Or if he had a late night because he had a softball game the night before, I know that and I'm okay with that. And I let him sleep in a little bit later and I take the kids. And so the mindset change has been transformative for me. Just being able to say, "This is what I need," and articulate
Yeah.
those needs to him.
Yeah.
And so the morning routine isn't that much different with school starting, but it just really is like it starts a little bit earlier because I've got to get the kids up earlier and I have to feed them before they leave. But basically, I know that I need my stretch. I need my morning quiet time in my office, reading, just reading the word because that what I'm absorbing from that helps me to be a better person to my clients, to better serve them, to better have better kinder self talk to myself. And it just really sets me up for success.
Yeah, that's great. Um, I'd love to talk a little bit more about mindset. When things don't go according to plan, when things get challenging, when all signs point to you saying you got to give up, what are you doing? How do you get yourself out of it?
Well, I want to burn the business to the ground about once a month. Um, and that's real life. Again, things people don't talk about. I don't post on LinkedIn like today's one of those days ready to burn it all to the ground. But that's vulnerable and that's scary. And what will people think and all the things, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So mindset was not a thing that I had known about or heard about before I started in business. And it took me a while to get into that. So, one thing that has been really critical for me is always having a coach and a community around me. So, I'm part of a couple of communities that are important because you've got people cheering you on when things kind of get tough. You've got people that you can bounce ideas off of, and you've got people who are in different stages, either before you or behind you, that you can look to for inspiration. Again, taking what serves you, not trying to mimic exactly. And you can look back and reach your hand out to pull somebody who's stuck in what you've been stuck in before, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
community is really important, and a coach is really important. Um, I was sitting in with my coach and was like, "Okay, here it is, my monthly burn it all to the ground." And then she said something. I had been talking about how great things were, like the last couple of weeks before I said that. She's like, "I don't understand. You're telling me you're having these great conversations with people and these great connections and things are good. We've been celebrating all this stuff. Um, and now you're ready to burn it all to the ground." And then what the next thing that pops into my mind is upper limiting, the concept of upper limiting by Gay Hendricks. If you've ever read, I think it's The Big Leap. And so upper limiting is basically where you have a threshold or a limit of success that you can take before you start to self-sabotage. I feel amazing and unstoppable. And all of a sudden, I'm doing the things that I've been doing for the last, couple of weeks, and it's not working. And I think about this, what is the pattern? The pattern is things are good, burn it all to the ground. And I was like, I think I'm upper limiting. I think whatever my level, I don't know if it's like 3 weeks of wins or a certain money amount in my bank or what, I don't know what it is exactly the trigger, but all of a sudden I've hit the ceiling and like, this is as good as it can get and I can't let it get any better. Like that's a mindset thing. There's something built in that. And so I'm like, I'm upper limiting. I'm like, and of course, then I'm like, I don't know what to do. I'm like, okay, like push the. I mean, for anybody who's just listening, I'm like pushing above me, like a mine. Like, okay, get rid of this invisible ceiling. Like, what do I do? But was able to recognize it. I was looking for patterns, thinking on what I know, and realized that I was upper limiting. And almost immediately, I was able to feel a difference because what I did was, again, drawing on these tools that I've learned over the last 6 years of making a whole bunch of, mistakes or getting myself in trouble or whatever. I was like, hey, upper limit, like I see you and I know you're here to protect me and I appreciate that, but I don't need you right now. Like, you're too much. I don't need to be protected right now. I am unstoppable. Things can be unlimited. I'm ready to keep going and I don't need you. And it just like a weight lifted off me and I was back in that energy. And the next morning I stepped in and I was ready to keep going. And that was so like, that was a big moment for me to be able to see that and recognize it and work through it in the moment. Like it was so, so cool.
Isn't that incredible when we have the ability to step outside and look in and then self talk your way in or out of things? And it just makes me think how self sufficient you are because I've heard these, not this story, but I've heard similar stories of you getting yourself in and out of things. And I'm like, how incredible is that? Just that alone I admire because I get myself into these things and I need someone to get me out. And I feel like I'm so reliant on so many people that I've almost lost this intuition that allowed me to do this. So you mentioned delulu sprints and we've talked about that. And I will say I used to be the biggest skeptic of anything, whether it's pride or ego or whatever. I was just like, that seems weird. Cut to me this week, listening to affirmations on my phone, scripting in the morning. I don't know about doing mirror work and jumping up and down on the bed or dancing, but there's other versions that I'm trying to stick with. And whether or not it quote unquote works, I feel like it's been really cathartic and really exciting to envision what success looks like when you hit these crazy numbers that you've never thought possible. And maybe they aren't possible, but to envision that and script it out has been really fun. And so I'd love to hear from you, how you came upon it, how you're using it, and just some of the feelings that you feel because of it.
Yeah. So what I found was that it was the way that this kind of concept of a sprint was delivered and the exact timing that I heard it is what worked for me and what clicked. So Natanya Bravo is a mindset and business coach. She's got a following on Instagram. And so she said, she did this post maybe a month and a half ago, a little over a month ago, and said, I've done this before. I did this last year and it was the most transformative month of my business. And I decided in 2025, I was going to be delulu all year long. And she said, it's July. I'm feeling a little bit of a slump. And so I need a sprint again. So basically, in a 30-day delulu sprint, you are absolutely delusional about your goals and you do things every single day as if your goals have already happened. And so it's identity work, right? You're embodying the person whose goals have already come true. And so she's got a list. She's like, these are the 10 things I'm going to do every day. Again, take it or leave it. You don't have to do all 10. This isn't some sort of a dogmatic thing. The more you do, the more you're really taking that on. So it's things like scripting, like writing the future as if it's true already, mirror work, where you are looking yourself in the eye in the mirror and talking to yourself. You mentioned jumping on the bed. So you are celebrating wins as if they just happened, even though they haven't quite yet. And so I'm like, oh, interesting. So I watched this Instagram video and I'm like, cool, I want to do that. I want to be delulu. And I'm like, cool, I'm going to do this. And so on the third day, I dropped the boys off at daycare and I'm driving home and I was listening to a guided affirmation, like an I am kind of a thing. And I started to feel this shift. I started to feel it a little bit, this delulu energy. And I was like, oh, is this what it is? And so I said something and I was like, I don't think that's big enough. And so I like set another goal. And so then I'm going through this affirmation. Then I started to feel it. And I was like, oh, hey, I get it. I have it now. And so then it's almost like I came to it with even more purpose because I had started to feel that little itch, that little twinge. And so in my group chat, we're celebrating wins and we're sending fun emojis and, talking about how, we're celebrating everything, right? Big and small wins. And I'm in the bathroom talking to myself in the mirror because there really is something very therapeutic. And so sitting there and looking at myself and telling myself I love me, gotta like say that right, right? Like it was weird at first, but I just kept trying to show up and do it. I was like, what do I have to lose, right? 30 days of this. Like I'm feeling something. I like this energy. I like being part of this movement together. And and things just started to click and I'm celebrating all these wins. And maybe a week and a half in, I had a day and I got 3 new clients in one day, which I think is a record for my business. 3 new clients, and I'm like, holy snap, this shit works. Like, what? And so then I was like, wait a minute, these goals aren't big enough. These are just like goals, the way normal people. So I was like, a 50K month. One of my delulu goals is a 50K month as a solopreneur. Do I know how it's going to happen? No. Is it going to happen in this 30 days? Probably not. But it was just like being audacious enough and bold enough to say that is my goal. And I said it out loud to people. I'm saying it here, and this is going to be like archived in podcast forever, right? That changed something in me. And so I was like, who do I need to be? Like, who is a 50K month solopreneur? What does she do? How does she walk around? Like, she walks into the coffee shop and people are like, who is she? Like, holy cow. Like, I want whatever she's doing. I want those collagen peptides, right? Or whatever. But it's an energy thing. Again, we're talking about small habits, right? Who is that woman? You stand up a little bit taller. Who is that person? Who do you need to be to make that happen? And so I, in this 30-day delulu sprint, had amazing conversations with people. I had so many celebrations, 3 clients in one day. I had the biggest revenue month I've had in a very long time. Things had gotten a little bit slow. I put money in my business savings account for the first time. I had a little bit of, you put like $1,000 or $1,500 on your business credit card and it just like hangs out for a little bit.
Mhm.
That is gone, like paid it off. My August is completely booked out to where I can't take one more call or meeting. I know how much money I'm already going to make in August, and there's so much surplus that I signed up for something new and I bought myself curtains for my office. Like things are like August is done already and it's amazing. September is partially done already. I already know how much money, like already I know in September I'm going to make enough money that I absolutely like the base that I need to plus some. And I haven't even filled September yet. Like this,
Mm.
like I said, there's nothing crazy, but it was something about the way she delivered it. I was ready to receive it. It was the perfect time. And I, instead of hoping that it would happen, I believed it would happen. And it is happening.
Yeah. And I love that simplicity of just what you said, because that's what hooked me. Instead of hoping, just believe. And I feel like they're two sides of the same coin, but it's just a mindset and motivation on one side versus waiting and playing the victim on the other, right? And it's just these simple little things. And energy is everything, confidence is everything. There's a lot more under the hood. You have to have your stuff figured out. But having just this confidence and conviction in yourself and almost having this air about you that whoever you talk to, they would benefit from having your services. That was a very big leap for me because I'm sitting here thinking I'm unqualified. How can I coach people when I need so much coaching myself? I'm very good at what I do, but now that I'm on my own, I don't have an identity that can go with me or can open doors. And it's been tough, but to have that mindset and just to script and say, I'm a successful podcaster. I'm good at what I do. I ask good questions. I'm present. People find value in the conversations I have. But then I put it to myself and say, I'm a successful consultant. I'm good at what I do. And these things are deep down in there, but I have to dig for them and put them on the surface so that I can believe them because it's true. But it gets so clouded with the doubt, with a slow month, with a bad call, with whatever. So this has been a really wonderful experiment. I feel like you are one of the most connected, well read, studied people that I know of because every time I talk to you, you're doing so many things. You're reading a new book, you're doing a delulu sprint, you're in a mastermind, you're in this community. I honestly thought, Danielle, that somehow you didn't work because you were just always studying and absorbing that. Who has time for work? But you're doing all of it and then some. And I just think your work ethic, your tenacity is really inspiring and impressive. But what are the things that you look for in some of these courses, communities? What do you look for in those things? What are you trying to get out of it? Like, how do you approach these things?
Yeah, that's a good question. I have 6 years behind me of trying to script or do affirmations or whatever. And so I think what's important for me to call out, trying to be very transparent and real, is that I have had seasons where it actually validates the question you have of like, how and when do you work, right? Like I've had seasons where I was like, okay, you know what? I really need to, I think it's me. Like I'm trying to hustle too much. I need to focus on me. I need to focus on, you know, my morning routine and really feeling good about things. And so, I wouldn't start working until 10:30 or 11 to make sure that I had like run and stretched and read my Bible for a whole lot, doing all these things like trying to be slow and open and ease and flow, right? And if you think about pendulums, right? While those were helpful things and helped build me as a person, I still wasn't actually doing anything. I was hoping, I wasn't believing that that would translate into ease and flow in work and business. I was just sort of hoping that if I did the things that people say in your morning checklist should happen, right? And so business was slow and I didn't have a lot of work. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? So I've had seasons like that. And so I don't want to diminish the fact that those seasons have existed. And I have had seasons where I found a program and I bought into the marketing and was like, this is the thing. This is the thing that is going to transform my business. I just need this certification or to complete this program, and everything is going to work out. And that's not true either. Because again, it's essentially the same concept, right? I'm just like not showing up to do the work. I'm just hoping that it happens. And so that's been some hard thousands of dollars of disappointment to help me get to the point that I realized that those are resources in my toolbox, but they are not the end all be all. And I think that I would imagine most entrepreneurs kind of have a version of that, right? And some real hard conversations with my husband.
Cut to me and my wife over a year ago when I was talking about story brand. And she's like, how much does it cost? I go, I cannot tell you. I can't tell you how much it costs, but I'm going to tell you it's going to be worth it. And a year
Yes.
later, I am maybe not back to where I started, maybe like an inch forward. There is no silver bullet. There is no one thing. If you don't know who you are, who you serve, and how you provide value, all that other stuff is a distraction. And if I could go back and tell myself 2 years ago before I started this, who are you? What do you do? Who do you serve? And how do you provide value? Obsess over those things and keep it as simple as possible. And then just use that as your platform.
Yes, and I'll counter that just a little bit and just say that sometimes it's just a matter of managing your own expectations. So now I go in saying, are these tools and resources, this blueprint, is this something that I want access to? I don't look at the promises. I don't worry about the ROI and try to think about the translation of, will I get a client within 3 months or whatever to use this? That is no longer the intent. Can I learn something to better serve my clients or, improve myself as a result of participating in this? If yes, great. Then that's how I decide to move forward.
Wow, that totally nailed my situation at the beginning of this year. Making decisions in desperation is not great. I think it's protecting yourself to make sure you don't get to the desperation because then you're up against
Totally.
the wall, which is just not a good place to be. I think one of the things I like to say often is you're only as good as your experiences. And I think one way to look at these group coaching programs, growth hacks, whatever you want to call it, is instead of having just complete blind faith that it's going to solve all your problems, how do you go into these things, adding to your toolkit, adding to your comprehension of coaching, consulting, brand strategy, marketing, what have you, so that you're picking up pieces along the way so you can bolster your capabilities rather than this one course is the end all be all going to solve all your problems. Because that is setting yourself up for failure and setting the coach or the proprietor up for failure because you're just putting too much pressure.
Yeah, I think that goes back to the believing versus hoping. So, if I hope that this is really helpful and changes things, it's not going to. Again, I'm not putting the work in. But if I believe that I can use what I'm learning to make a difference and to do this, then I think it the changes the outcome. That concept of believing versus hoping actually came from a book called The Magic of Thinking Big that was published in 1955. And that was in the first page of the first chapter. It was like, if you only hope and don't believe it'll happen, it's not going to. And I was like, stab me in the heart. Are you kidding me? I don't even need to read the rest of this book anymore. I feel like reading that was kind of what opened my eyes to what this next chapter is. It made me open and available to the delulu. It made me open and available to this leveling up that I'm in the middle of right now. That was the door that opened to get me to this flight of stairs. And it's pretty cool. And I just love that it was written in 1955.
It's amazing. I love that. When things might fall apart, when you're just at your wit's end, how do you figure it out? Like what gets you out of it? How do you reset?
I try to go back to the facts, what I know and what I can control. My brain is telling me all these stories, right? But what I know is that I'm good at what I do, that the process that I follow, the way that I work with clients, it does deliver and it really works. And so when I'm struggling with the burn it all to the ground, often I will go to my community or to a coach. Like I need someone to kind of help talk me off the ledge. Like that is really important. And then the next step is going back to the core of like, what am I trying to accomplish? Like a reminder of what am I selling? What am I what have I been really excited about? What is it that I want to do? And what are the legitimate steps that it's going to take to get there? Right. So sometimes it's going back to my pipeline. Who's in my pipeline? Who is a prospect that I haven't talked to in a little bit? I also like to physically change my environment. So I like to go outside, like to love to feel the sun on my skin and just close my eyes and really get back into my senses. What do I hear? Not usually what I smell because I live out in the country, so that would be manure, but what do I hear? Take my shoes off and ground in the grass. That helps to physically reset my body, which helps when I need to look at my pipeline. What do I need to do? So those tend to be my go-tos for like, okay, fit hit the shan and I don't know what to do. Mm, that's typically where I start.
Is there anything unconventional or non-negotiable for you that allows you to operate at your best?
It's a great question. I do know that I need to move my body. That impacts me in a lot of ways if I don't. So whether it's walking treadmill because I've got a lot of meetings, going outside, playing with my kids, whatever. So outside and moving my body are pretty non-negotiable. If I give myself 10, 12 minutes to do the things that I don't think I have time to do, but I know it will help me, the physical, going outside, reading a Bible, or just doing some, meditating and prayer, that will completely change and time will shapeshift for me, and do what I need it to, but it will recenter me.
It's so interesting with physical fitness. I feel like it's way more mental for me. To go to the gym, it's like therapy. Even to do a block walk. And I'm in Tennessee, like the humidity sucks. It's just miserable now. So I'd like to get out more and do block walks and take calls as I walk. But just to move your body, I think allows your brain to be distracted. I have permission to get up and walk away. And sometimes doing that allows you to come back better and refreshed and reinvigorated and say, okay, today's my day. Yesterday wasn't my day. I'm going to play hooky. I'm going to go hang with my kids. I'm going to go golf. I'm going to go hang with chickens, whatever it is that we do. But to be able to bring that back with a renewed sense of energy, I feel like is the greatest gift we have as solopreneurs where we have that choice. So I'd love to know from your perspective, what do people not see from the outside looking in?
One of the things that I think is challenging, there's so much pressure to make the right decision and to do all the right things that it's really lonely. Like you can be in community, right? Which is very important to me. And to still sometimes be reconciling my bank accounts and feel like this sense of disconnect, or I don't know, because we don't have scheduled meetings in community to be like, all right, where are your books? Let me give you a pep talk. Where are your books? Like, hey, what do you think about this tool or this thing? But every single decision and process you're not going through together. And I think at the beginning of my business, really wanted my husband to me make those decisions so that if I screwed them up, it wasn't just on me. While he's incredibly supportive, he's like, I don't know. I don't know the right decision. I don't know anything about marketing. I don't know anything about running a business other than what I've learned, kind of through you. And we've had to have some hard conversations, the two of us, before, where he's like, the last time you really talked about money, things were really bad or didn't sound like they were good. And now you're telling me we have all this extra money and we should go on vacation. And he's like, I don't know what the in between is. Or, you're telling me you had a really great day with lots of fantastic, connections and things like that. And he's like, I don't work in a business like that. So I don't understand it. I don't understand how a really meaningful conversation or connection with somebody feels like currency in your business, right? Like, did they say, are they going to be a client? Is there money in our bank tomorrow? Right? Like, that's what he's asking and thinking about. And I'm like, well,
Yeah.
no, but they know other people and maybe there will be a thing. And, like, it's a long game. And so
Mhm.
we had to get to a point where we have intentional business meetings where I can say, here's where we are. Here's what I'm learning. Here's, kind of the state of the business, so that he isn't getting the roller coaster of things are fantastic or things are terrible. And I had to trust our relationship and trust him when he said, I trust you to run this business. And if you make a decision that doesn't end up being a really lucrative and fruitful one, that's okay. We're in it together to fix things. But I just don't feel comfortable making those decisions. And so that was a hard conversation for us to have, but it was really, really helpful. When you're in a small team, like, you feel really, really alone. And those are the big things. That's the marker that the world says is success, is your bank account and your expenses. And so it feels like there's a lot of pressure. It's hard.
Yeah, I totally agree with the pressure that it puts on relationships with your spouse, whether or not they're on paper your partner. I think they are our partner. And we've been going through that too, where I'm not a financial guy, I'm not a money guy. I wish I was more frugal, but I've got champagne taste and beer money, is the saying. And it's put a lot of strain and pressure on our relationship at home, and uh, we're all trying to do what we can, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's not. What's something that you're proud of that no one asks about?
The reason that most people go into business is for some level of freedom, right? I've had those moments of complete contentment and bliss, whether we were, on a vacation or on a trip together as a family, and everything's great. Like, we're all in alignment. We're doing this and everybody's relaxed and we're not at home. And yeah, let's stop at the ice cream shop, even though nobody ate anything for lunch. Like, I think that's the freedom that I like to measure things by. So for me, the way I measure success is like, do I feel really connected to my kids? Am I leaving work in my office? Can I tell that my kids absolutely know without a doubt that they are unconditionally loved? Do we have enough freedom and flexibility that we can just drop something and say, we want to do this thing if it costs money? That is how I'm measuring success. I can say I want a 50K month just because I need something to work towards, right? But it really is just that feeling so aligned with my family. And I don't feel like I get to talk about that as much, or I guess I'm not asked that, so I don't talk about it
Yeah.
as much. And that's really what I'm working towards.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting where on the surface it seems very simple. You just want to provide. But underneath it all, it's much more complicated. And even with the dynamic of family and kids and what they're aware of or not, it's not that simple. But I think a lot of us that are parents, that's really the goal, and I've had that recently where I'm just like, gosh, can we do that for the girls? They're all reasonably old enough to have this conversation and say, well, we can't do that thing, or we can't go do that, or go to dinner, because we didn't budget for it. And I think for me, it's been a big learning curve, and I appreciate it Because before I'm just like, yeah, let's go. We'll worry about it later. And then cut to like everything in the red, you know? So it's interesting to think about that. What would you say to somebody that maybe they're a few steps behind you, who might be in that messy middle or just starting out? Like they haven't even got to the messy middle. What would you say to them?
I think the thing that stands out is you get to write your own rules. There are a lot of blueprints and out of the box approaches that can be really successful. And they don't always take into consideration nuance that comes with your personality, your bandwidth, your budget, whatever the case is. You don't have to read the whole book before you close it. You get to take what serves you and leave the rest. And so, as long as you are intentionally marching forward, Glenn, as long as you are marching in the right direction, take the pieces that really, really land and apply them, but don't beat yourself up and be dogmatic about the fact that you didn't execute that 100%. Um, I think it's just the permission to take what serves you and write your own rules. I talk about chickens all the time. People remember me now as a marketing strategist. I'm the marketing chicken lady because I just started showing up and talking about what I care about, which is sometimes it's my chickens, right? It's fun and it's memorable. But people remember me more now than they did when I was just a marketing strategist. And so I took that permission and said, I get to write my own rules. I get to let my chickens show up in my business and it's working for me.
Yeah. Giving yourself grace is something that is said easily, but takes a little bit more intent to grasp onto. I'm learning, I'm absorbing, and I just need to go back to my process. Stoicism was really influential on me of just like, hey, everything happens. How you react to that thing is in your control. And if you remove emotion, it's easier. Like just those things that the mantras that I have to go back to and with scripting and all these things. So and just give yourself grace because it's not easy. It's not a straight line. That's part of this conversation is how do you navigate that? So I think just giving yourself a little bit of grace. Can you tell me what you're looking forward to, whether it's the rest of this month, the rest of this year? What are you looking forward to?
I really feel like I am on the edge of a really big level up. I have already started to climb that right now, and I'm really excited about it. Um, I was kind of sitting in a little bit of self consciousness a while back, realizing that for probably 2 years, I'm on the edge and feeling a little bit uncomfortable. I have seen it and I'm really close and I still don't know exactly what it looks like, but it feels big and it doesn't feel scary. It feels really exciting. I'm excited about being excited, but I don't know what it is.
I love that. Well, we are at time. And so I just want to thank you for your time and your candor and being vulnerable and kind of just covering the map on all the topics that is solopreneurship, entrepreneurship, and the messy middle.
Thanks for having me today. This has been a really fun place to talk about that. I feel like I've talked almost about more challenge than success. I love that we just got to do that and to explore it. And it's the opposite of the way the world often portrays it. It's like all of this success and like, oh yeah, there was this challenge, but like let's talk about all of the challenge. And there was this little success and then there was another challenge. So I love that you're doing this. I think it's really important work.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Danielle, yeah, thank you again so much. Wish you nothing but success. Yay. All right. Thank you.